Hi guys! So in January I made a video saying I would try to use all my art supplies this year, and in that I said I would do some pieces to incorporate every single one of my watercolor paints because there's some colors that I use a bit more than others. So starting off that color highlight series, today we're going to be looking at lemon yellow. So lemon yellow, or also known as Hansa Yellow Light, is described by Daniel Smith as a bright primary yellow. So it's usually made with the pigment PY3, and it's described as being low staining, semi-transparent, and non-granulating, meaning that the pigment doesn't settle into all the little grooves of the paper. So Hansa Yellow Light, or lemon yellow, is a cool yellow, meaning it leans more toward green and there's no apparent red in it. So if you look at it, you wouldn't see it and think orange, you think more green. So on the warmth of lemon yellow, you can see here I have lemon yellow in comparison to permanent yellow light and permanent yellow deep, which are the warmer yellows in my palette. Permanent yellow deep is almost straying all the way into orange, and permanent yellow is just that brighter, more golden kind of yellow. And you can see it in between the two. It has almost kind of a milky appearance almost, but you can see how much cooler it is. It doesn't scream as much orange as just yellow in comparison to the other two. The color is very lightly valued, meaning that there's a lesser range of colors that you can get out of that one paint. So the more you mix it with water, it goes very quickly from the mass tone, which is at its most concentrated, to completely diluted. So here I tried doing some swatches. I put out a dollop on a piece of watercolor paper and swatched it in its most opaque and a more watered down version. And I did a few mixes with it here just to see what colors I could get from it. So because it's a cool yellow, it tends to make very bright, vibrant greens. So here I mixed it with phthalo blue, was it? Or cerulean? I think phthalo blue. So that's the lemon yellow and phthalo blue. And then I mixed it with permanent red, which is a very bright primary red. It's a warm red. You can see how it looks closer to an orangey red than a pink or magenta. And then I mixed it with dioxazine violet. I think Magello's version is Brilliant Violet, and that gives you a brown because it's all three primary colors, red, blue, and yellow. So for this drawing, I decided to go with something pretty simple because of how lightly valued lemon yellow is. I didn't think I would get enough range of colors to do a full, well fleshed out illustration. So I went with something simple and tried to utilize the white of the paper to add some more contrast and variance in the piece. So I went in with, at first, a very light wash of yellow. I covered the middle of the sunflowers and and added some detail or some color to the petals, but in a more textured, loose way. I didn't try to cover the whole thing. And then to add some artsiness to it, I tried to do some splatters. I wasn't getting them to splatter as nicely as I had envisioned in my mind, but it did the job. And I gave her the basic shadows, like under the nose and under her chin. I went with the sunflower girl because, well, it's yellow and that's the first thing I think of when I think yellow. I think sunflowers. and just a calm, happy girl. Pretty simple. And then, because I was thinking yellow and sunflowers and sunny, I decided to give her some freckles because you get freckles in the sun. So then I added some detail to her hair. I tried to leave some areas white for highlights because I wouldn't be able to get anything brighter than the white of the paper. Ooh, I used Payne's Gray, which is a bluish gray ink for the line art. Even though it's not picking up on camera very well, it just looks black. But I thought that those two colors would be pretty good complementary to each other. So blue ink and yellow watercolors. Okay, so on my personal feelings about lemon yellow, I would say it's definitely not my favorite yellow. I'm not generally a yellow lover to begin with, and because it's so cool and so lightly valued, it's not really a color that I reach for on its own. But surprisingly, my palette, the lemon yellow in my palette has been well loved, and I realized I use it a lot in mixes. So although it's not my favorite, I definitely have used it a lot, and it seems to be an invaluable color in my palette. I was actually worried that the camera wouldn't pick up the different tones in the yellow, because yellow seems to be a hard color to pick up accurately on camera, and I'm just filming with my phone, so I wasn't sure if it would be able to get the proper distinction. But it did manage to capture the differences in value pretty well, even though it's not capturing the full brightness of what lemon yellow actually looks like in person. I'm hoping that I should be able to get back some of that brightness or the true tone of it in post-production editing. Hopefully you're seeing it the way I saw it in real life. Oh, another thing too, I definitely saw the semi-transparentness in the paint while doing this little illustration. In areas where the paint laid down a bit more thickly or a bit more deeper of a value, it tended to cover up my lines a bit. Not like terribly, but you could see where it was kind of lying on top of the ink. I suppose the transparency would differ between different watercolor brands, but there's also a certain typical behavior you would get from certain pigments, and it seems like lemon yellow just is one of those colors that tend to be a bit less transparent, even though it's a watercolor. Adding some more splashes for artistic flair and pizzazz. And then I tried deepening the tips of the sunflowers with as dark of a wash as I could mix with lemon yellow. Yeah, so this is it, my finished little illustration. I hope you guys liked it. It was really simple and, dare I say, refreshing to do. I've been trying to do a lot more detailed illustrations, and I'm not sure how much of a detailed illustration I could get with just one color. I'm not really a person that works in monochromatics, but I'm definitely excited to try that with the deeper blues I have in my palette. So if you guys really like this video, please leave a like and maybe subscribe to see all the new color highlights that I'll be coming out with. I'm going to make a playlist on my channel so you can just flip through and see all the different colors if there's one in particular you want to see, but that's going to take a while. So you might as well subscribe and stick around and see what else I'm doing while you wait for your favorite color. But if there's a particular color you want to see next, leave a comment below and let me know which one you want to see next, or just leave me your favorite color, or even suggest what illustration I should do for what color. You guys let me know. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed this simple little video, and I will see you next time. Keep creating, guys.